Welcome in to Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Today on the show, are we a little too hopeful about the Atlanta Falcons this year? Our Locked On Hawks broadcaster, Brad Rowland, is going to join us. We'll talk about the Hawks offseason. And the Braves have a couple of Rookie of the Year candidates. Who would have seen that coming? It's all next. It's Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
We welcome you to another edition of Hittin Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. We ask you to head over to youtube.com. Almost 2,300 subscribers now to our YouTube page. We thank you so greatly in just this short amount of time for being a part of our community. Find us there, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment. Of course, free and available on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. Leave us a 5-star review and then follow me on my personal Twitter page. That would be at JMCH316. You know, I know hope springs eternal, right? And we've talked a lot about the Falcons and the hopes and things like that about what they could be. And I've said I think the Falcons are going to be a 6-win team. But one of the things I found interesting is that over the last couple of days, some of the publications that have come out ranking the strength of rosters across the NFL. I looked at ESPN's, and they have the Falcons at 31st. So in case you're not sure about all this, there's only 32 teams in the NFL. So ESPN has the Falcons as the second worst roster in the NFL. And then I looked at Pro Football Focus and was scrolling through, and it took me a while to get down because, well, the Falcons are listed as the second worst roster on Pro Football Focus. So multiple publications that look at the Falcons as being one of the worst rosters. Now, I'll talk about what the write-up is here in just a second, but are we being a little bit too hopeful about what the Atlanta Falcons are going to be this year? Look, could the Atlanta Falcons be a top 3 drafting team next year? Could they be a 3-win team? Yes, they could. And there are enough holes and there are enough questions. Because if you think about it, you know, while we have hope at different things and this, that, and the other, the Falcons do have massive, major questions at, I don't know, 3 of the most important things in the entirety of the NFL. Like, it's great to talk about our secondary as a strength and this, that, and the other, and our rookie pass catcher and our second-year pass catcher. But reality is, if they don't figure out their offensive line, they're not going anywhere. If they don't get good quarterback play, they're not going anywhere. If there doesn't become a drastic improvement in sacking the quarterback, they're not going anywhere. And for the things that Matt Ryan and some of these other guys could hide over the years, they won't be hidden this year. So I'm hopeful. I do believe that the Falcons can be a 6-win team. And a lot of that I base on the idea that they are coached well. And I have to assume and I expect the same people that tell me about how guys in their second and third year are going to get better. I have to assume Arthur Smith himself is going to be better, because he's going to have to be a better play caller. He's going to have to be a better red zone play caller, and they're going to have to get better as a team, and they're going to have to be better when it comes to, and he, more specifically, Arthur Smith, pronouns, pal, but 2-minute management, 4-minute offense, timeout usage, all this, that, and the other, decisions about when to go for it, whatever. He has to be better at clock management, timeout usage, and things like that, right? So I'm assuming that those things from the coaching aspect, I'm assuming Dean Pease with another year here gets a chance to get some of his things done. Now, we'll talk about what the Falcons write-up is about why they're the second worst roster in just a second. But today's show is sponsored by our friends over at BetOnlinenet. It is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. Look, we're right in the middle, literally in the middle of baseball season. You've got golf tournaments going on. We've still got a major left, MMA, boxing. There's still all kinds of things going on. And well, if you're really one of the degenerates, we're not far away from getting into preseason NFL football, right? BetOnline.net has all of your news, your reviews, your podcast information, scores, everything that you need to be a smarter, better sports wagering information, including live betting, esports scores. Everything is available to you there in an easy-to-use platform. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device. It's really easy. Put that betonline.net into the browser there and look at the trends in the action and use that as your tool to bet smarter. BetOnline is where the game starts. Now, here's what Pro Football Focus says about the Falcons. Their biggest strength is their cornerback duo of A.J. Terrell and Casey Hayward. They talk about their biggest weakness as being the defensive line, where it could be and should be better with Ebiketie, but it could still be Grady Jarrett and a bunch of guys all around. And they say that the biggest X factor is Drake London. So I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with their biggest strength. Don't agree at all with what their biggest deficiency and their X factor is. Number one, their biggest deficiency is their offensive line. You have 3 of your 5 players that are 3 of the worst pass blockers in the entirety of the NFL. And it's only a league where the goal of the NFL offense is stand in the pocket, push the ball downfield, and get big chunks of yards, right? So the Falcons are awful, and it also leads to them not running the football effectively. And also, too, it leads to your quarterback getting hit, beat up, sacked a whole bunch of times. Now, it's great to talk about quarterbacks that can run around and do their thing and all this, that, and the other, but no quarterback can run for his life behind a bad offensive line. So I expect, if for no other reason than just better personnel, because I do think, even without having seen either of the guys play in a Falcons uniform, Arnold Ebiketie, their second-round pick, and Lorenzo Carter, who they brought over as a free agent, those 2 guys have to be better than, I don't know, Dante Fowler and Steven Means. Think about where the bar is set. Steven Means in 14 games didn't register a single solitary sack. A guy who started and played in 14 games as one of your outside edge rush guys didn't record a single sack and only hit the quarterback 3 times. Ebiketie should be able to do that in 1 game, right? I mean, so they can't – it would be almost statistically impossible to be worse on their defensive line from a sack perspective than 18 sacks in 17 games. So I expect that group to be better. But their offensive line, if it works itself out that they just run it back, and there again is Mayfield and Hennessy standing side by side with one another, it's going to be another long year. And you don't have a 57,000-yard quarterback that's looking at going to the Hall of Fame back there anymore. Now it's a guy who's been on his 3rd team in 7 years and a rookie 3rd-round draft pick that's never seen anything like what the NFL is bringing to him. Remember, listen, I know Ritter's played, Alabama and Georgia and all those teams. Okay, but this is Alabama, Georgia times 10 every single week. There are no Memphises and Central Floridas and UConns and Army and Navy and teams like that anymore. Now it's all the best of the best of the best of the best, as Will Smith would say. So the offensive line, to me, it's not even a question. They are the worst group that's out there. And the X factor is no question about the quarterback play. If they get bad quarterback play, they'll be drafting Stroud, Young, or Will Anderson in the draft. If they can't get their offensive line to improve, they're going to be one of the bottom-feeding teams. I'm hopeful. I do believe that they can find 6 wins. I do believe that they can be better than a lot of pundits think. But there are some glaring weaknesses, and I don't think it's coincidence that multiple sources are putting the Falcons as the 2nd worst roster in the NFL. All right, when we come back, we will talk to our Locked On Hawks basketball expert, Brad Rowland, is going to join us. We'll talk about the Hawks offseason here next. It's Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.